I am too.
Take
Why
a roll.
why don't we go all the way back and talk a little bit about what you were doing before you came to this area?
Okay. Well, I was in New York State in a place called Kingston, which you've never heard of probably. But it's on the Hudson River and has a distinction of being the first capital of the state of New York. I'll bet Paul doesn't know that. For one day only.
Oh,
And there's a little town called Stone Ridge out in the country in the midst of an apple orchard. And they started, what county was that? Ulster County Community College. And I was their founding president. Living it up in apple orchard in the Catskill Mountains, beautiful country. We had to think about once before we left, but it's a great area, and that's where we were before we heard about Kalamazoo.
and how did you hear about Kalamazoo?
I got a letter in the mail saying we're looking for a president, and I talked to my wife and I said, we're about ready to leave, but should we go to have an interview at Kalamazoo? And she said, I don't know about that. That's winter. And I said, okay. And I put it back in my desk drawer and left it there for a few weeks. We talked about it again. And I called someone, I have no idea when, and had an interview and became a very aggressive candidate. We wanted the job. Didn't know a thing about Kalamazoo. That was along about December of some year. When was it? 1966, I guess. Was the vote 66? The vote was 66. Yeah, in December 66, I first came into the great city of Kalamazoo.
What do you think drew you here?
Well, we'd had the fun and privilege and excitement of starting two other colleges as the founding president. The first one we started, went to work in August and opened in October in that short time. We leased a brand new multi-million-dollar high school building from 5 until 10, and that was the whole college. And then in Kingston, we were there for about 8 or 9 months in an old 3-story red brick elementary school building. It was no good for the school, but good enough for the college, they felt. So we did that. And then to come along another time for a third chance, but almost a year and a half's time, and that excited us. And we thought we'd made a lot of our mistakes by then, so we were ready to take a third shot at it.
And so on you came, and you were, what can you tell me about the original committee that was really assigned to find you? Can you talk to me about your...
Sure. Well, the people of this area went to the polls, as you may know, in I think about August 1966, and they voted on 3 things. Shall we have a college? And shall we assess ourselves a millage to help pay for it? And shall we elect trustees, they were called. So they did those 3 things in their wisdom, I think, and elected 6 trustees, and it was their job to build the college, run the college, set policy for the college, give leadership to the college. And their first task, I guess, was to find a president. So they started this search, and these letters went out and so on. They were interesting people. They were great diversity, which has, I think, been a hallmark of KVCC from day one in terms of faculty and everything else. Faculty, great diversity. Little Dan Heathcote, a former Kalamazoo Public Schools administrator, maybe one-time superintendent, looked like a little elf, little short man, white-haired, great sense of humor, Dan Heathcote. There was Paul Jackson, whom we all know and love today. And there was Bob Woolen, who's since passed away. Dick Letterdelli, who was Western, since passed away. Oh, Mabel Shoemaker, who shortly thereafter went to California. I must be missing somebody. Anyway, there were 6 of them, and that was their job. They, I don't know exactly how they proceeded. I tried to take a look one day at some old minutes to try to find that out, but they had those very well secured. I never knew how many candidates there were or anything. I know they were on a jaunt to interview, I think, 3 candidates, and they flew into Kingston, New York, and spent a day there. And that's kind of hairy, you know. You're already the president, and the world's not supposed to know you're looking around. But they, in some manner, went around town and interviewed or talked to the editor of the paper and the mayor and the chairman of the board of supervisors and lots of people. I think their approach was, or mine would have been, you know, we're thinking of starting a college. How's your college doing? And so on. But anyway, they did that, and then they flew away to see another candidate. And then you don't know Bob Woolen, but as only Bob could do, he wanted to do things now. And a couple of days later, I got a telephone call, and he said, "We'd like to invite you to become our president." And
Is this the hearing aid clinic?
no, but my wife would say it should be every day. She says, "You can't hear, Dale. Go and get your hearing checked." And I got it checked a few weeks ago, and they told me I. So I had my hearing checked a few weeks ago, and they said it was okay. And June says, "No, go someplace else. You don't hear well." So that's ironic. So when I tell June the highlight of the morning was the hearing aid clinic, she'll say, "The next one will be moving into a room over here."
Yeah, don't sign anything.
I don't know where we were, but some very, Bob Woolen,
Yes.
called and want to invite you. And he said, "We need to know right now." And I said, "Well, I'll have to have a little time to think about this, Bob." And he said, "Well, call me back in an hour." So June and I talked for half an hour and said, "Let's give it a shot." So we told Bob we'd be there. So out we came, and that was in, I think maybe March, when I was really on the job. And being the ever romantic, I came to Kalamazoo from Kingston by train. I sat in the train all by myself and looked ahead with excitement and some trepidation and some unknown, and arrived in Kalamazoo. And as only Bob could do, he met me at the train and said, "We're going to the Y and jog." I hadn't jogged in my whole life. But anyway, we went over to the Y, and we met Herb Pfeiffer, who was the, I guess, executive secretary or something. He's since retired, but he's still living in town, I think. So Bob got me off running right on day one. That was my introduction to Kalamazoo.
Very nice. Of course, then you had to put the whole staff and faculty together.
Yep.
How were things in that period?
Well, the trustees, in addition to searching for a president, had rented some office space over on White's Road, where they now sell Electrolux. I noticed this morning as I drove by the lower level of the Oakwood Plaza. They had that as an office, and they had a telephone, and had an answering service I didn't know about. So I started to answer the phone the first time, and someone else was already answering, and I couldn't understand who was our line tapped? What's going on here? Who wants to know all of our secrets? So there we were. And the joy of this was that this was in March, and the college could have opened that fall. I mean, we could have opened, but the board felt they didn't want to open. They wanted to open a year later, so we had the luxury of 18 months. And they also, I think with great wisdom, wanted to open the college in its own facility. They didn't want to rent a multi-million-dollar high school with evening classes or take some abandoned building. So it was many months, I don't know how long, before the campus was purchased. It could have been the Gull Lake area. It could have been anywhere. They had some consultants surveying, and they were very prophetic by saying Kalamazoo is going to grow southwest. Is that southwest? Where's Paul? Is that southwest, Paul?
It is southwest.
And you can certainly see what has happened. I think Ashtemo, maybe the college has been a factor there, but certainly has grown that way. And there were others in the community who felt it should have been in the Gull Lake area, more central to the district. And the other thought was that as time went by, there might be other school districts that would like to join in. As it happened, only two did, Matawan and Plainwell, I think. But in any case, a lot of time was devoted to planning in that sense, and you couldn't plan facilities until you had some idea where you were going to be. And then they had the notion of this instant campus, and that intrigued many of us. So we started planning that and started looking for faculty. We put a full-page ad in the AJC, American Association of Junior Colleges Journal, about this new, exciting institution, and we had many, many responses. But we made the commitment early on that we wanted to have significant diversity among the faculty. We did not want the majority or even a strong minority to come from the same institution in terms of their own higher education preparation or from their teaching experience. We made no commitment that they had to have community college experience. Well, that was nice, but the central theme of everything we did was to commit to an institution where students were important. They were only there for students, not for faculty egos or president's ego or reputation. Two little phrases we coined: your place to begin, and what's the other one? Your place to be, opportunity for all. And we tried hard. We talked with faculty. They had to have little visions, I guess a good word. They had to see what we were talking about, that people would come here who might never have gone to college otherwise. It was a college. It was not 2 more years of high school. There would be opportunity for a great variety of programs. But most of all, the faculty who had to see what we were trying to see, that the student could start here and end up here and not get there that way. This way, this way, this way, this way. They could try different programs, try different courses. Faculty were, I don't know any other way to say it, but they had to be committed that these were students who deserved to be here, who had every right to be here, and who had a right to fail. There's nothing wrong with failing. Pick yourself up and dust yourself off and start all over again. I was interviewed on then WKZO one time, and I was talking a bit about this, and a call-in person, a lady called and said, I understand you're not going to hire anybody from Western Michigan University. And I said, well, first of all, ma'am, I don't hire them. The board hires them. We work together. I'm not it. And we've never said that at all, but we certainly do not want to have everyone to come from Western Michigan or Kalamazoo College or any other institution. That we're looking for people who see what we see and who believe what we believe and who want to dive in. And I think we were successful. We had a fairly good number of people of color on our initial faculty. We had one with a beard, in days when people didn't have beards. I don't even say this too on this thing. We had a discussion, we would hire a person with a beard, or we'd ask him to shave it off. Can you believe that? We did. Well, we said, what are we doing here? We're talking about everybody has the right. He has the right to have a beard. So he had a beard, but it was well trimmed. And we just did it. We took our time. And people come from all over the country. We felt important that we keep this diversity. We hired 2 or 3 people from Key West Community College there. We hired one in particular, Phil Wilson by name, who came from the Pacific Northwest and every place in between. So they brought various institutions, various teaching environments in their background, various majors, and various interests and all the rest, but they had to have the commitment, and I think we succeeded very well.
Very nice. Well, when you hear the words KVC, or the letters KVCC, what do you think of?
I think of a community that has every home almost touched by that college by now. It's just what it was when it started, I think, in that regard. We impacted people, and when I left here, which was really too many years ago now to think, but we still would, any place you'd go, you'd see a KVCC impacted family, a person who graduated or whose son came here, whose daughter came here. And I think the campus, the college campus out there is second to none. And the college early on, through no work or fault of my work, but no accolade for me, but we had a national reputation early. This college was accredited by the North Central Association, NCAA, you find the letters. North Central Association
accreditation.
Credit, very early. So I think as early as any college ever was. I think that after 2 years of operation, we blithely applied, being told by all of our colleagues that it will never work. And when I had an interview, or I wasn't alone, but I had Maureen Taylor and 2 or 3 other faculty members, that one of the questions asked was, why in such a hurry? And I said, well, we're not in a hurry, except we're ready. We have a strong base. I think we came here 2 years from now, we'd have no stronger base. We'd have more students, but we're ready. We're ready to put ourselves under your microscope and answer any questions you have, and we are ready. And they asked Maureen, why do you think you're ready? And she says, because we're ready. They said, well, what about this president here? What if he were to leave? Would the college fall apart? She said, no, we're ready. We're a college. So we were accredited in the second year, after 2 years of operation. Everyone has, I don't know what the term is anymore, frankly, but a provisional or a preliminary or conditional or some word for 2 years, I think it was. At the end of that, which time they came back and gave us full accreditation for the full period of time. So I think that was quite an achievement. We became well known early, and not for a building we had or a single program we had, but because we were KVCC. I think it still is. So when I think of KVCC, I think of all those faculty that came in the early days, Paul and all the rest, those trustees who rambled around all the fields around here trying to find a place to dig their heel in the ground. It could be a good place for a college. And they had an architect, Alden Dow by name, and from Midland. And he was a man of great vision, I think, and he designed the campus, and it's worked. There were bumps in the road, though. We had a local engineering firm lay out the buildings, and a benchmark out in the field, a little stone someplace, was a benchmark from which they did all their surveying and measuring, only to find, a year and a half later, there were 2 benchmarks, and they were some 40 feet apart. And the one they used was okay, except that the gigantic tree, I don't even know what kind it is, I can't tell you, but it's a big tree, and it's right near the wall of the entrance where the tower is. That was supposed to be 40 feet over, away from the building in our visualization, but because of the wrong benchmark, it was right there. We were able to save the tree, but there were some hairy moments there. We were going to lose the tree or change the buildings or something, but so little bumps like that came along, but we were all set to go. And April 1st of 1960-something, let's see, 8, we broke ground for this instant campus. And they were manufactured and delivered from Santa Rosa, California. So even then we had our college building being transported across the country on flatbeds. Except one day the phone rang frantically and one truck was lost. He was down in Texas someplace. I don't know why he ever got lost, but he was bringing a load of critical components, and he was down in Texas, and we were in Kalamazoo in Texas Township. I suppose he thought that's where he was supposed to go, the state of Texas. I don't know. I never made that connection before, but in any case, it showed up, and we opened on time with this 40,000 square foot building made out of modules. And we thought that would have about a 15-year life. That was what it was planned for, that it would serve the college well while we had the permanent campus, and it did. And I had a call from Marilyn Schlack a few years ago, and she said, I got something very sad to tell you. You're going to be awfully upset. You can't upset me with anything, Marilyn. First of all, I'm not the president anymore. And she said, we're going to demolish Redwood Hall. And I said, good. It's time. It did its job, and it did it well. As a matter of fact, it served more than 15 years, I think, maybe in a 20-year period. But there we were on our own campus, our own buildings, and the students could see the permanent campus coming up around them, and all those things I think were important. I have no idea what you asked me a while ago, but I've been rambling.
Well, I asked you what you think of.
Oh.
But you filled in a lot of other questions I had, which is good. And another one, I guess, is Chris is out there waiting.
He's gone wandering off.
Oh, that's all right. We'll just keep going. He can take care of himself. We still up there, Brett? Oh, here he comes. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning.
Who are you?
That's Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Okay.
The tower. It's obviously a very interesting landmark itself. Can you tell me any stories about how that developed?
No, I can't. I can say these things about it. No, I really can't, because that was Alden Dow, absolutely, totally, completely, the architect. And I called it, and we called it kind of unofficially Achievement Tower. We were going to try to create some great tradition of some kind. There were 3 platforms, and each one would mean something about life's achievement, and there were different levels up there. And there were so many little, I don't know, indentations on the way up. I had those counted one time. We were going to create tradition. Each step meant something in life, and there was Achievement Tower. But that never never achieved its goal. I think it's now the tower. Probably waiting for the first $1 million donor. Want a tower named after you?
Sure, I can come up with the cash.
Okay. We don't want a check.
Visa,
No,
Visa,
no.
MasterCard? No.
But it has, it's been a landmark, and it's aesthetically pleasing, and it has no architectural impact of any kind. It never did achieve a name, a significance in that sense. But it certainly was a landmark almost by now, but identifies the college, and it's great.
I have a question here about CAP. What is that?
CAP. This was our initial college calendar. We thought we might try something a little different. We had a regular 12 weeks, I believe, a semester where the students would take normally 4 courses instead of 5. Then we had a college-approved program where we were trying to excite the faculty and excite the students. They could design any kind of experience they wanted to. Or we could take a normal 3 credit hour course and compress it so that they were immersing themselves in the subject for 3 weeks. No other classes, no other commitment to their time. We used examples when we were selling this to the Board of Trustees and the initial faculty, but I don't even know if they make South Bend lathes in South Bend or not, but that was an example we would use. For 3 weeks you might go to South Bend, you might be there, you might go to an auto manufacturer in Detroit, and you might spend 3 weeks. There was a time to not be distracted by any other activity, and the kind of experience you couldn't do in the classroom spread out. So we had, I think on year 1, we had a college-approved program, a CAP, at the end of each semester. But that made it pretty enticing for students to just leave 3 weeks early, and not many people were registering for anything. So we shifted it then, and it became a normal semester, shortened CAP, a normal semester. And that also had an enticing attribute for the students. Once you hear 6 weeks, I can go get a part-time job for 6 weeks. So our enrollment was never very high, but it was a noble experiment. Some of the faculty were excited about it. Some didn't quite like to teach a regular course in such a short time. But in any case, after a few years, we just felt it was an idea ahead of its time, and it was abandoned. But I still believe it had some interesting ideas. Just this last week, I was over in Wisconsin visiting a college called Ripon, where our grandson will be starting college next fall. And lo and behold, they have a Maymester. At the end of the spring semester for May, they have 3-week courses of a variety of kinds. And one of our little guides who took us around the camps had just come back from 3 weeks in the Pacific Northwest studying whales. And the students had been to, I think, Italy for 3 weeks and all sorts of things. So here was CAP reborn as a Maymester over in Ripon College. So it has something to commend it, but it's hard to bring it about. I don't think the faculty embraced it totally, all of them. I don't think any that they didn't either, vote absolutely no. It was just different. But it got us a lot of publicity in the early days. CAP, College Approved Program. Maybe the name wasn't creative enough. Maybe it should have been the Maymester. I don't know.
Yeah, Maymester. What are some of the things you're proudest of as you look back?
There's not much I'm not proud of. I think we succeeded admirably in bringing the right kind of faculty. I think we succeeded in letting the people know we were there and what we were. I don't remember any adverse publicity, frankly, in the community. We had good press support. We had good, the media were very, very good to us. We got lots of good stories. We had people at North Central who commended us up and down. When I was writing a resume for some other purpose later on in life, I quoted several lines from the North Central Report talking about the institution and its vision and its galloping nature. It says it never slows down. And I'm proud of that. I was also very proud of this early accreditation. I was proud of the recognition that many of our faculty got. Certainly proud of our ability and capacity and the commitment to keep athletics important but in perspective. It has some very, very outstanding athletic teams, much of it due to the outstanding leadership of Dick Schultz, who came from Western to us. He was a great fit for KVCC with his own personal philosophy and his Christian life. He gave the kind of leadership that was needed and did a wonderful job. It's great.
How about some of your fondest memories? And maybe we can start with, or just some anecdotes that come to you. I know there was a protest at some point during the revolutionary early 60s years, and there was actually an event at the college. Can you tell me that story?
Yeah, this was, what's that word mean? Yes. I've been away too long. Students were protesting all over the land on all sorts of issues, some important, some not important. And our students had a protest of appreciation. And they gathered together and they had the plaques, "We trust the trustees," and things like that, and had a rally, and they even carried a president out on his shoulder out there. So we came together again, the same feeling that we've had all along, but students are important, and they felt the college was responsive to their needs and their interests. This was duly submitted to and printed in the Congressional Record. So there's the story about KVCC's, what do we call it? Something of appreciation. My senior moments come along frequently these days. Anyway, it was a rally of appreciation, saying how they appreciated what was being done for them, and we appreciated them too. And that got us a good deal of attention.
It's very unique.
I think there's still some pictures mounted someplace at the college maybe of that event. Oh, they had also a so-by-so where all the students had signed, and it was an interesting little piece of history there.
Were you afraid at first it was a negative rally, or how did it strike you at the moment?
Well, I don't know. I think I would have been shocked or resigned if there had been a negative. There's nothing to be negative about. And maybe I was just, on cloud nine and not facing reality. There were probably 1,000 things went on during that 15 or so years I never even knew about that could have been construed negatively. But no, I thought it was okay. Good.
Are there things when you think back that make you laugh?
Yes. I laugh almost when I found myself sitting in the traffic court in the back row at the judge's invitation after having about 5 tickets in about 5 weeks. Judge Olmsted said, "I don't really want to embarrass you, Dale, but you can down and just sit in the back row and listen to all these people, and I'll see you in my chambers when it's over." And I said, "Well, it's these speed traps." He said, "There is no such thing as a speed trap." I said, "I never had a ticket in my life till I came to Kalamazoo." He said, "You're probably always a lousy driver. We've just caught you." But I was trying to put 6 pounds in a 5-pound bag in those days, and I was not attentive. Got a lot of tickets for exceeding us. I had 10 points on my license twice. And one day I was hurrying down to WKZO for an interview, and I was coming down Stadium Drive, and there he was. And he said, "What do you think the speed limit is along here?" I said, "I don't have a clue." And I just left the college, and I'm anxious to get down to WKZO on time. He said, "Well." And then a few weeks later, I was going to a Naval Reserve meeting, and I was down and up, down. There's a cop behind me, and he said, "I've been behind you for about 10 minutes. And I said, "I didn't see you." And I said, "Well, I'm president of the community college." Try to let him know that. And then I said, "I'm on my way to a Naval Reserve meeting where I'm a commander." And he kept saying, and then I said, "Boy, it's cold." And I said, "I'll write fast." So he gave me the ticket. And then another one, I was talking to the faculty, and I said, "Now drive carefully. I've got a ticket right here. Drive carefully." So I went down to Kalamazoo, came back and said, "Now I've got 2 of them. I got another ticket on the way into town." So that's kind of interesting there. And then shortly after that, Al Sagar, our director of learning resources, came to my door one day and rapped and said, "A gift for you out here." And he had a bicycle they'd put together, a 10-speed bicycle with some little plaque on it of some kind. Of, maybe this would keep slowing me down or something like that. That was fun.
I think we're going to have to change.